Just trust to guide us home. Hearts wide open, winds that shift. This is the magic of a fearless risk.
Action.
Oakley dokley then. We have some... This is some Harley parts. I'm not sure what's what yet, but... What have we got here? What?
Double packaged.
Double packaged? This is good for the environment, isn't it?
Why would they bother doing that?
I don't know. They probably... Who knows?
Well,
You know what? If it doesn't make sense, then it makes dollars.
Build down our names in carbon runes. Fluorescent eyes, fluorescent rules. They tracked our choices by design, a breadcrumb trail of alibi. But we don't breathe in buckle breath. We write our truth in dialects. From frequency to fingerprint, this pulse was never counterfeit. Scan your code, name your war. You're not a number in a drawer. Coherence isn't bossy. It's felt like static in between. The silence where we used to scream, the crack, the song, the buried dream. We rise where systems rot unseen. There's data stored in ancient skin, and scars they said should not have been.
Okay. That looks pretty tidy. Not bad for a non
Yeah, it's bad for a backyard mechanic.
flex core.
It's not structural anyway. Flux cord wire. No gas on that, just flux cord wire, man. It's what the legends run. Nah, I'll give it a wire brush up now, take the shock off, give it a wire brush up, and give it all these paint, and then I'll start looking at putting the rear guard back on. Not 100% sure of, well, I'll run those mids and see. They're kind of annoying. When I was just riding then, it's like, just going to take a bit of getting used to. But it's like you put your feet down to do
They're
stuff
right
and you
there.
bang your fucking things into them.
Yeah, they're right there.
But I'll get used to that.
Waking codes and everything. We won't be locked in perfect grids. Our rhythm slips through algorithms. You can't decode a secret spot. It's found in chaos, not in charts. Burn the script, name your need. You're not a product of their feed. Coherence isn't bossy. It's felt like static in between. The breath before the breaking scene. The wound, the oath, the rebel dream. We rise where systems rot unseen. This body's not a wire. This mind's not for hire. This voice is interference or desire. Coherence.
I like putting dots on shit.
So, Raz drying
Trying some paint.
the paint. We're gonna watch the paint dry inside. Then he can fit the rear guard, which is, we've decided that one, the OG.
I put the OG one back on it, which will look kind of cool with the bobber single seat. It's got dirt on it now, so I just went up the road.
The bobber for the
The
bobber.
barber seat.
It's gonna look very cool with the bobber seat.
Single barber seat.
It's a small bike, he reckons.
Small bike compared to my Bandit anyway. This this Chinese seat doesn't come with spring washers. So I'm Loctiting it. And did you know that everything is made in China except for babies? They're made in China. So it's pretty cold today. Winter's coming. Not sure who Winter is, but she's somewhere. Anyway, okay, so yesterday I didn't video because probably got ADHD and sometimes I like to do shit and not be watched, but anyway, and I probably forgot all about videoing, to be honest. So I put new grips on. When you buy these CNC grips from Trade Me, they're only like $30 or something. They're all CNC made, but if you can see, the end unscrews and it also unscrews in here. They're reverse threads. So what you got to do is when you put them on, you really need to unscrew that end off and Loctite it, screw it back on. Same with there, because otherwise what you're going to have is this can come into 3 different pieces, and when you're riding around, it'll probably come loose and half of it will fall off, and you don't want to be going around a corner and half of it falls off. So they're really nicely threaded. The end cap threads into the shaft and the shaft threads into this. So I just Loctited it all. And in here, what I did was you pull the boots back because you've got to release the throttle cable tension before you can get the cables out of the old one and put them in the new one. So what I did is I just pulled this off. It's got a backing nut and a thread, and I just counted how many threads were showing. So there was 10 on the top one, 9 on the bottom one, and I adjusted them, backed them right off so that I had full adjustment here, pulled the old ones out, put the new ones in, put new grease on where it runs, just so that it stays in its channel properly. And then when you adjust these back up, you just adjust it up so that there was 10 threads showing on the top one, 9 on the bottom. Every bike will be different, so that I've got the right amount of free play. So there's a little bit of free play there, because one of these cables is the throttle cable and the other cable is the idle cable. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but from what I gather, one's called an idle cable, or a return cable, and the other one's the throttle cable. So anyway, what else did I do? I pulled all the indicators off. They were up under here, bolted where the mirrors go, and it just made the front of the bike look very cluttered. So what I've done is I've gone and these are the brackets for the indicators. They were 90-degree bends. I've flattened them out, straightened them out in the vise, and then painted them because they were bare metal and they were rusty. So I've painted them with black zinc paint, and straightened them out so they're now straight. So what that's now going to do is I'm going to relocate them down onto the bottom triple tree here. So it'll bolt on, the rounded end will bolt on there and it'll stick out here, and then this today is going to be bolted on there. So when you look at the bike from the front, they're going to be bolted on and behind here. That'll just tidy up the whole front end. So I've got the wiring. Hey doggy. Got the wiring diagram. Well, not wiring diagram. The wiring down here. So I'm shortening. This is the plug that plugs into the. I'm shortening all that. And I fitted this horn yesterday. So originally it ran this stupid bell horn over here. I don't like them personally. This is the original one. That used to run over here. Used to stick down and be a big bell here. I've got rid of that. What I've done is I built a bracket, which you would have seen in the past video. I've relocated the coil to here. It used to be up under here. So once all the wiring is out of the way, it'll actually give quite a good look and let the air flow around the heads properly. I put the ignition here too. It was on the other side. So it's kind of just changed the whole look of the bike. And anyway, this horn here was off this junker, and it's a stainless steel horn, and I've kind of put it up inside there, and it goes with the theme. You know, everything in this is black and aluminium, or black and chrome, or black and stainless steel. And yeah, tank. I've got a new tank coming actually. So this is only a 2.2 gallon tank, which is about 7 litres. So I was only going to be getting not even 150 k's out of a tank, roughly. Whereas the tank I've got coming is 3.3 gallons, which is 14 litres, so it's twice as big as this. It's the same shape, but the tank, see how there's a gap here between the tank and the seat? The new tank will come down to here, and it'll be slightly wider, but it'll be the same sort of shape. And this tank is probably going to end up for sale. It's a 2.2 peanut tank. It's a fuel injected bike, so it's got the fuel pump on the other side. And I don't know, it'll be for sale possibly, but if not, I'll just keep it as a spare. But then I'll get twice as much mileage. I should be able to get hopefully 300 k's out of a tank. I quite like that stainless steel horn there. All works. And around the back, all I did to mount it was a Perspex bracket, so it's clear. Probably can't see it in there. Sort of, not really. Anyway, because the horn itself is not heavy and it's flexible, so it can handle the vibration, and there's no weight to it. And that Perspex bracket just goes to the bottom of the horn, and then up in behind, there was a gap up in behind the mount for the tank anyway, so I put a Perspex bracket in there, Loctited it all together so it's not going to come loose. And I also fitted this yesterday. So this is just a cheap off-trade me, but it's probably Amazon, I'd say. They bought it off Amazon, but it's actually quite good quality. It comes with new breather bolts, spacers in the back here that space it off. There's another washer in there, so you space it, you work it all out, space it. Just runs a pretty generic washable filter, and I reckon it looks quite good because it lets you see a lot more of the engine. Eventually, I'll if I keep this bike, I'll run a Screaming Eagle kit and get it tuned, so it's not running lean like they normally are. So yeah, yesterday I got that on, the horn done, the indicators relocated, well, pulled off to relocate down here today. New grips, front and rear, and set the bars further forward so that it's set up for me, so that when I'm sitting on it, I can just see all my lights along there, and I sit about there when I'm on it, so you can see all the lights, and I can see from 50 all the way around to 160, 180, which I'm never going to be up there anyway. So that's all I need to be able to see. I just had a relocation kit turn up in the post. So this was like $60 on Trade Me. It comes with another bracket in here, as you can sort of see. That goes around the fork tube. So this speedo, I'm going to be getting rid of this. Might sell it, might just keep it, I don't know. But I don't really like it. Somewhere here, yeah, here. It needs polishing. But I've got that. I'll give it a polish first, but that's going to go on there. So that'll be, because the top mount of this is the top of the triple trees, top of the riser. Whereas I've got this one, that's going to go in its place, and then that'll get rid of all of this housing. Which only came out on the 72's apparently, the chrome one with the ignition, with the speedo up there. So that'll all go on, and then this, the speedo will then go into this. So that speedo will go into this. The lights along the bottom there will go into the bottom of here. They click in. So it's made to take it. And then the speedo is going to be mounted, not sure yet, either down here or down here. So when you're looking from the bike, the speedo will be down here or up here. So that when you're riding along, all out the front of there will be clear. There'll be nothing that you need to look at, and the speedo will be down by the tank in there. So on the odd occasion where you do actually want to look at the speedo, it'll be visible, but it'll be kind of hidden. And from the front, when you're looking at the bike, none of this will be here. So it'll just be nice smooth lines straight up through the forks, straight up through the T-bars, and that'll be clear, and there'll be none of that there. That'll be gone. So it'll look a lot cleaner. Just a better setup in my opinion. Each to their own. Lots of people will probably say that's going to look horrible, but we'll run it, see what it's like. If it doesn't end up being something that I do think is working for me, then I'll change it back. You can buy another bracket which actually mounts the speedo. Instead of being up in there, it mounts it here, so it's at the front, which I'd prefer. Then it's just missing the tank, and if it was at the front, then I can see it. I don't need to see the nut on there. It'd be nice if the speedo was at the front, and then that was clean up the front. I mean, it looks sticky to me, just sticking out there in midair, doing nothing. And yeah, if legally in New Zealand we didn't need a speedo, that'd be great. But I guess we need it for lots of reasons. But if it was hidden down in there, then that'll be sweet. So that'll be something I'll be doing at some point. I didn't video putting the tail back together. That's another thing that's probably progressed since the last video. It was a mission, absolute mission. So I don't know if I videoed in the last video either, but these back parts of the frame were a little bit bent. Whoever had toyed with this bike before I'd say that one was bent in, and then to accommodate that, bent that one to try and get the guard in. So that one was easily bent back. This one I had to spend a lot more time on. I ended up putting a straight edge, a chalk line straight through the middle of it, and worked it all out, worked out what it was supposed to be, worked out the numbers, divided it by 2, blah, 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 blah. Managed to get it all bolted up. I removed, wherever they went, I removed these. I removed the chrome ones of these on the side there. So you can see I went black. I had a black set that I'd bought with a bunch of parts at one point. So to me, I just think it looks so much better. Black with the contrast of the stainless bolts, the black on here, the chrome on here, the polished alloy on there. It's just made the bike a bit more blingy to me. Just a bit more contrasting. Black, You know, that being chrome to me just didn't look nice, whereas that to me looks really nice, and it's quite cool. It doesn't have a tail light. It runs the tail lights, the red tail lights glow in those too, and then indicators work in those, and brake lights are in those as well. No actual tail light in the center, which I think looks quite nice. So yeah, we got all that back together. Bit of a pig of a thing to get back together, because up and under here there's like a plastic, so that there's the guard, steel guard. In there is a plastic guard that runs up inside here. The wires from these have to go through the steel outer layer, through the inner steel layer, through the plastic layer, with the wiring running through it and bolted all on at the same time. So there's like 4 things you've got to run it all through, try and line it all up. They've got to be bolted, they're all nylocked on the back. And then the wires inside this plastic, on the inside of this plastic piece that you can see, is all these channels, and the wiring then has to be ran through the channels, and it comes along and it pops out on each corner, and then everything gets wired up under the seat. And there is nowhere to put your fingers to. I ended up having to jack the bike in the air, drop the shocks, top mounts, drop the shocks down, and jack this right up in the air so I can get my hand up in there and just reroute everything properly. It hadn't been done properly before, and oh my god, under the seat here there's like a little triangle, and you've got to get everything through the frame and wire it all up. In the end I just had to use screwdrivers, because you can't get your fingers down in there, and just hold one clip up, pop the next one in, wire it all together. Anyway, once it's in, it never has to be done again, I guess. And what else? When I put this all together, I checked all the tail lights, made sure everything worked. The number plate lights didn't work, so I got in there and seen that all the bolts were loose. So who knows who worked in there last, but pulled that all out, put new bulbs in, cleaned it all out, and now that all works. So it's good. What else have we done since we were here last? Moved the bars forward so they fit me better. I'm still waiting on the tape so I can do the wiring. The wiring is all exposed and the new tank's on its way. So once the new tank turns up, this tank will come off. The fuel pump and all that stuff will be pulled out of this tank, put in the new tank. All the wiring can then be taped up with, I bought some proper actual loom tape. Apparently if you use insulation tape or electrical tape, because of the adhesive, that mounts when you're riding because the motor gets hot, and once it's mounted it all just falls apart. And apparently it also is not good for your wiring loom. Apparently it can heat up or something to do with the adhesive in it. So the proper loom tape only sticks to itself. So when you're wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping, it's sticking to itself, and it's heat proof and waterproof, and it seals everything, and you don't have to worry about it mounting when you're sitting in traffic, because these are air-cooled motors, no water. So yeah, once that turns up, that's pretty much all I'm waiting for, I think. I'm going to probably today relocate the speedo, which means put a new top hat on the risers, wire all the speedo up and relocate it, relocate the indicators to down there. I've got a Harley bag that I'm going to fit on the frame up in here, and that's going to have my tools in it because it's a Harley. I'm going to be carrying tools for sure. It's all Imperial too, not metric, so I'm going to be carrying at least enough things to check spark plugs, undo some shit. I did put the mids on it. I'm not 100% sure if those are going to be comfortable for me yet. If they are not, then I am going to clean up the Fords and put the Fords back on. But at the moment, I think these are going to be good from what I've researched. I think this is what I want, because I do a lot of windy road riding, and I really like the idea of not scraping. Fords, I scrape all the time. Mids, I'm hoping to not scrape. So what I'm thinking, if I have to, maybe I run the mids and then I build a front bar, maybe up here a bit further, a bit higher, so you've got still more lean angle. I'm thinking about Getting some steel, and that's where the Ford's bolt-on is there. I bought some new bolts, same at the front. I'm thinking about building a bit of a steel bracket up here and then having a highway peg that sticks out so that if I'm getting uncomfortable on the mids, I can then put my feet up on the highway pegs, and that will also act as a crash bar, so if I drop the bike, it's going to hit the ground first and hopefully not wipe my bike out. I purchased Deltran. Deltran sell a cable that you put on the battery. Because this bike has an alarm, see it's got a key fob. Without that, the alarm will go off and you're not going anywhere. It demobilizes it. So I bought a Deltran plug, plugs onto the battery. I can disconnect it there and connect it to my Oxford trickle charger, which has the same plug on it, and charge the battery without having to pull the battery out all the time to charge it. I then bought this thing. I'll turn around so you can see it a bit better because it's upside down currently. It's just the way that the wiring loom worked out. So this just pulls out and unplugs. So as you can see here, this is a Deltran battery thing. So look, I can just click the button, tells me it's over 75% charged, and it's currently sitting at 12.9 volts. So that after 30 seconds will go blank again, and if you want to know, you just press the button so that it's not drawing current. So that's one way I can keep an eye on this battery, make sure it's staying up to a decent charge so that I know it's going to start. I can then unplug that and put there's a cap here that just caps the end of it. I can either plug it into the trickle charger then, or I also have another Deltran end that I can plug in there, and I can put my USB. It's got a USB end on this other head that I've got. Plug my charger in, and I can charge my phone or charge I've got a Ozito tire inflator from Bunnings. I can charge that if I need to, if that's flat and I need to use it, or I can charge whatever I need with USB. So that's quite handy. Definitely a must on a bike that has an alarm that is stupid enough to suck power. As you can see here, there'll be a light flashing on the dash. That's telling me it's currently alarmed until I turn the key on. That just goes all the time, so it is actually sucking juice. Yeah, what else? I bought a solo seat for it, but man, is it uncomfortable. Stupidly uncomfortable. Doesn't have any backrest, so I can just imagine what will happen. It's just flat. I can imagine what will happen. I'll rip open the gas and my ass will slide off onto the back of there, and then that'll make me reach for more throttle, and it'll give it more throttle, and it's not worth it. This seat's a lot more comfortable. Eventually though, I'm going to sell that seat and the seat, and I'm going to buy a Saddleman step-up seat. So it comes along, has quite a big backrest, and then comes forward. I want that because then you've actually got something to lean against, and the back is a bit more square. So there'll be a lot more cushion if I do eventually want to take a passenger. I'm also going to eventually build those two bolts there. I'm going to build a steel sissy bar. It'll be more like a chopper style though. Probably won't even have a pad on it. It'll just come up. I'm not sure how high I'll make it yet, but I want to make it so that it kind of corresponds to the front, but on an angle still. Same angle as the bike, I guess. Then I can tie something on it or connect something to it or lean on it or whatever. There's no doubling pegs on this bike, which all the Harleys I've ever had, my partner is not keen on riding on the back of them anyway. They're just not comfortable for her. That's what the Bandit's for. So this is probably just going to be a bit more of a cruiser for me, going for a blast through the forest, bit of a canyon cruiser, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it's like. She might jump on it and it might be more comfortable than the other bikes we've ridden. But we'll see. I'm not a big fan of the T-bars. They're super comfortable though, so I'm not going to be too fussy and I'm going to run them. I mean, the only thing I don't like about them is the look of them. I'm not sure why that is. So I really just need to get over myself and just ride it for a bit and see what happens. But I would think I would probably rather run a 6-inch riser and then run more of a motocross handlebar is what I'll probably end up doing. But for now, I'll ride this for a while, and I might just find that it's that comfortable that don't worry about what I think it looks like. It's not always about what it looks like, but to me, I like looking at pretty things. Anyone knows how to solder wires, I don't need to be teaching people how to do that, do I? If you want more videos like that, comment, and I will show you how to solder. But to me, it's pretty simple. Just one thing that I'll say is I like to, what makes it easier for me when I'm soldering by myself is I'll solder each wire. I didn't do this one, someone else did. But what I'll do is if this is a wire and I've stripped it, I will solder that wire until the whole thing's soldered. And then when I do the other connecting wires, I'll solder them until they're fully soldered too. So all you got to do is touch the two wires together, the two opposite wires that you want to connect to each other, and then you just hold the soldering on there until the two just mount together, and then you let it go and quickly blow on it, and that seals them up. And obviously run some heat shrink. I've got heat shrink here. As you can see here, I've got a couple of paint pens. I've got a white one, a black one, and a red one. I've put a red mark on this. That's just so I know to connect the red one to the red one, because both these indicators are obviously exactly the same. And on this wiring loom here, to know which one to connect it to when I've wired it in, all I did was put a red dot on the back of this and a red dot on the one that I want to connect it to. When I actually bolt them on the bike, I can then make sure I solder them to the right side. Otherwise you're going to put your right indicator on and the left one's going to go, you got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, but Murphy's Law, probably get it wrong. So anyway, just little things like that make your life a little bit simpler if you just think about where you're heading to, rather than just jumping into it and soldering it to the wrong one. I've got a new oil and filter. I'm going to probably take it outside once I've done all the rest of this stuff, warm it up. I was going to take it for a rip and then drop the oil when I got back, but then I thought, nah, actually, if I do that and I give it some herbs, I might as well have fresh oil in it when I do that, because I don't really want to, it's got 4-year-old oil in it, and I don't want to bloody go give it a rip and wreck something. So I'm going to take it outside so I'm not breathing in carbon monoxide. I'm going to warm it up till it's hot, dump the motor oil, change the filter, put new oil in it, run it up, check the oil, make sure it's all new oil, and I'll take it for a ride next fine day. After today, I think it'll be nearly ready for riding, apart from I need to get that. So hopefully that stuff turns up today or tomorrow, and I can tape all that up and cable tie it all up around the frame and then put the new tank on. I will take it for a ride before I do the primary oil. On these motors, you've got motor oil, which runs engine and gearbox, and then on the other side, you've got primary oil, and that runs the primary chain. So that's running the clutch and the primary chain, which is connected to the rear. That's a separate oil. So there's 2 different oils on this bike. On a dyno, there's 3. You've got motor, gearbox, and primary. On this, you've only got motor and gearbox in the same one, and primary. So 2 oil changes, easy as. You've only got to do the primary, I think, every 2nd or 3rd motor oil change. So the primary might not even need doing. If I have a look in there and it's clean, it might not need doing, but I might just do it anyway because I don't know when it was done last. Then I'll know that I won't have to do it for a long period of time. I'm actually really liking where I've got it to so far. You can't beat the sound of these bikes, man. Like, far out. I love my Bandit, and it is one of the best bikes I've ever ridden. It's so comfortable. But when I start this thing up, it's like, whoa, yeah, let's go. Like, it's a bloody hot rod. I don't know if it's got cams or what. On the back of the key fob, the previous owner had written his phone number in. So I'm actually thinking about giving that phone number a ring and finding out if it's still the person's number of the person that used to own it. And if it is, can you tell me any details of the bike that I'm doing up? Might be a bit interesting to know some history. Hopefully you might say, yeah, it's got cams and it's got this and it's got that. But even if it doesn't, it'll still go all right. I doubt it's probably ever been tuned because I don't see there's no piggyback thing connected in there anywhere, but it might have had the ECU reflashed. So that's also an option. Triple Z, I think it's called, on Facebook is who I'm going to be ringing up and telling him about the air cleaner and the pipes and getting him to reflash my ECU at some point, because these bikes do run quite lean from the factory. They come into New Zealand and they need to be up to stupid emissions control crap. So I'm going to get them to redo that, add some more fuel, and it'll also add some power, and it might also add some fuel economy, hopefully.
5,000.
years later.
So that didn't take too long. As you can see, the brackets that I made are bolted in here. I Loctited those bolts back in and done them up quite tight. I set those up level, so they come off level off the triple tree rather than following the angle of the triple tree, just so that when you look from the front of the bike, they're actually directly pointed at traffic, I guess, is what you want. So yeah, those are now bolted through that same bracket. The wire runs up through the back. Now they're sitting up the front, which I think looks far better than up the top. Like, they kind of just disappear into the bike. So what I've done is they run over here. I've soldered them, shrink wrapped them, and they will eventually be taped up with the whole loom and hidden under the tank. They just plug in down here. Pretty straightforward, really. I had at one point to use this, so I recommend everyone buys one of these. They're so cheap at Repco. It's an LED test light, right? So what it does is turn the key on, earth it. Whatever I touch this on will give me a red LED in there. It'll flash red. That tells me that's a positive power. If I run this to a power wire and touch it on an earth, it'll glow green. So that's another way of being able to stick this on the positive terminal on your battery and check for earths. If you're having a problem and you'll need to not just check the positive, you can actually check the earth as well. Because quite often in certain circuits that I work on, sometimes it's not the positive that's the problem. Sometimes it's the earth. And if you haven't got a proper earth, then obviously it's not going to complete the circuit and your positive ain't going to work either. So it's really handy. I just plug it onto the earth. On a lot of cars, you can just plug that onto the key, onto there, hold it onto the key, because the key is earthed on most cars. I'm not too sure about a bike, but I presume it probably is. But because because the engine's earthed anyway, I just clicked it on there. I then turned one of the indicators on because I'd cut my mark off, my red mark there. Look, I'd cut it off when I'd shortened this loom because it was so long to go all the way up to the top of the handlebars. I'd cut that off. So pretty simple. Just turn the key on, turn the indicator on that you want to work on first. Put this. You could probe it if you wanted to, or just put it on the purple's the positive. Black's always negative. Put it on the purple wire. It wasn't that one. Okay, it's the other one. Then I soldered it all together. Heat shrinked it, and then I'll tape it up eventually. But they all work. So got indicators. So, and I'll show you while I've got it going. This is how the tail lights work. See, you got the red light and the indicator in the same tail light. It's quite cool, actually. Quite like it. That did not take long to put those indicators on there and make those brackets and paint them up and Loctite those in and do them up tight and blah blah blah. Next, I think I might do the speedo relocation. I've got a video before.
Did you?
But yeah.
You stinky. You stinky. Yeah, you stinky.
That video. Okay, so we've pulled this and run this other top hat. I can set the bars to whatever I want now because I don't need to worry about seeing the dash at all. Now I'm going to be pulling all this apart, putting that face into this and putting it all in here. It's pretty straightforward and there's heaps of videos on YouTube how to do it. In about 5 seconds I'll have all of that in this. Okay, so as you can see it's on the side now. This one, it's just a blank one. Looks so much better. Look at that. See straight through the center. I like it. And they're nicely nestled in there. I kind of worked out where I wanted it, up and down. Obviously, it needed to be able to clear the tank. So that's full lock. There's heaps of room. Look, nowhere near touching anything. I didn't actually have to cut any of the loom for this. I've doubled it back round and I'm waiting for the loom tape to turn up, because once the loom tape turns up I can get rid of all this and put it all up under the tank. That's why it's not covered yet, but these are the indicator ones I did earlier. Obviously they're all soldered and heat shrunk, and then all this loom will be taped up and you won't even see it. I just think it makes the bike look so much cleaner. Now it's just clean, and it means I can change the bars real easy. If I want to change bars now, I can go to whatever bars I want to run, and I don't have to worry about relocating the speedo or mucking around. Just undo those 4 bolts, change the bars. I can even move these ones further forward or back because I don't have to worry about the speedo being in the way anymore. As you can see everything down there. So when I turn the key on, got all the lights going, you know, got indicators, got high beam light. Everything's visible and easy to see. I'm sitting here just cruising. I can see my speedo, you know, I can see everything. I can see the whole lot. Look how much cleaner and sleeker it looks. Yeah, it's not in the middle. That does bug me a little bit. I like it. That's all that matters, isn't it? Everyone builds their bikes to their own taste, and that's the whole thing about Harleys is they're like Lego for adults. The speedo doesn't stick out any more than the air cleaner. So I actually quite like it because it's kind of like air cleaner sticks out, speedo sticks out, bars are all clean. So anyway, each to their own, eh? Ride what you want to ride, build what you want to build, and enjoy the process. That's what I figure anyway. And it goes with the theme. Look, black chrome, black chrome. It's got chrome underneath button for checking the fault codes, and then it's nicely black powder coated, chrome on the top.